Your studio monitors may be lying to you. We're going to make them honest by using this microphone and the software in this box. There's no software in this box. I lied to you. Hi folks, I'm Mike, and I hope you're well. So the premise is this: how can you make good decisions about your mix when you're not hearing your mix accurately or honestly? There's a problem because, say for example, your monitors and your headphones accentuate the low end a little bit, then when you're mixing, naturally you're going to decrease that low end. It's going to sound too loud to you. The problem is, when other people play on their systems, that low end is going to sound like the lame end, and they're going to mock you mercilessly. So that's where Sonarworks Sound ID reference comes in. It stops people from mocking. It's such a stupid thing to say. It stops people from mocking you. I'm not going to say that. So what it does, it listens to the sound of your room using your monitors, and it makes corrections so that that sound is more accurate. I've used it to calibrate the monitors in my room recently. Now let's see how it was done. I just want to give a shout out to Federal Audio here in Australia, who got this system to me so that I could show you guys. But I must stress, there were no conditions set. I'm absolutely free to give you my honest opinion, and I shall. Now, an overview of this system is this: if you've got a known sound being played through some monitors and it's being listened to by a known microphone with known characteristics from a known position in the room, then you should know how that sound should sound to that microphone. And if it sounds different, then the system can make adjustments with an EQ curve to correct that. That's just basically how something like Sonarworks Sound ID reference works. Now, I happen to have got the full package, which includes the software, a reference or measurement microphone, and also I've got the headphone package as well, so that I can adjust my headphones. Now, you don't have to get that full package. You could just get the software if you've already got a compatible microphone. Now, if you just want to adjust headphones and you're not adjusting monitors at all, then of course you don't need the microphone. That is done with profiles for the headphones. So if you're only mixing on headphones, then just get the package at the moment, which is suitable for that. So I've gone through that process in my room, as I say. Now let's see exactly how that worked. So the software starts off by giving you a short checklist of things you're going to need to do before you start running the test. You're going to need a measurement microphone, of course, plugged into an audio interface with the phantom power switched on for its channel. Now that audio interface needs to be set to 44.1 kilohertz, and you also need to make sure that the sound from the microphone is not coming back out through the monitor speakers. Then you're ready to start getting your levels right. Now it does this by having you place the microphone in your regular sitting position where you listen to music normally, and then it runs a few tones for you. Then it's able to advise you about whether you should raise or lower the gain on your microphone, and indeed adjust the level of your monitor speakers as well. Once you've done that, you're ready to start the test proper. Now, before we get into that, as you go through the instructions with this software, it's going to show you a person hand holding a microphone like so and pointing it to different places. Now, I do believe you can run these tests in just that way, but I'm a little bit pedantic, perhaps a little bit OCD. So I actually did it with the microphone on a stand so that I could be very, very accurate with the test. As I say, I don't think you have to do that, but in my case, I thought I wanted to do things really properly, so that's how I did it. Next, we start doing some measurements in terms of geometry, except you're not going to have to measure anything. The system will do it for you with sound. So you start off by pointing the microphone at the cone of each monitor speaker from about a distance of 1 to 2 centimeters. It will play some test tones, and then it will calculate the distance between your two monitors. Now, I found this to be incredibly accurate with, sort of about a 1 to 2 centimeter difference in terms of accuracy. If you want to make it absolute, then you can, of course, adjust this yourself. But I was pretty impressed by that. The next thing it does is it gets you to sit in your regular sitting position. Again, it plays some really short tones this time, and it calculates where your microphone is, including distance, in relation to your monitors. This seemed a little bit magical to me. I was very, very impressed. So now that we know the sort of geometry of the things that are going to be involved in the test, we're ready to start the actual tests. So now when I'll tell you that Sonarworks is going to have you taking measurements from 37 different positions with this microphone, you may quickly lose enthusiasm for the process involved. However, Sonarworks has made this incredibly slick and, may I say, even fun to do, because now it seems to know where your microphone is in the room all the time by playing a few sounds. As you move it around in your room, you'll see it moving on the screen. So all you have to do is move it until it's inside one of the sort of circles that they show you on the map. It takes its measurements and you're ready to move on to the next position. It really doesn't take long at all. Now, once you've done this, then your profile is built and you can go ahead and use it in your DAW and get a much better experience in terms of hearing your mix accurately. Now, I happen to have a subwoofer connected to my system at the moment, which I can switch on and off with a foot switch. So I ended up building two profiles so that I could use those two different situations. Now, if you've got extra monitors, you'll need to build those extra profiles for each set of monitors that you use. Now, it's time to start using it in our mixing. Now, there's three main components to the software. The first part we've already looked at. That's where we evaluate our system and it creates a profile for us. The next one is at system level, whether it be Windows or Mac, where all sound from your system can have a profile applied to it. And the last one is as a plugin in your DAW. That's where you're going to use it mostly for creating your mixes. And it's that we're going to look at first. There's a couple of things I want to mention about this. First of all, it must be inserted as the last plugin in the chain on your master bus. This is so that you can hear all of the changes you're making before it accurately. And what's crucial is that you switch it off before mix down. Remember, this is just so that you can hear things more accurately. We don't want it to actually be applied to the mix. Okay, very, very important. Now, the second thing that I want to mention is it's almost impossible for me to demonstrate to you the benefits that I'm getting with my monitors using this plugin. I'd have to do that by trying to record my monitors with a microphone, which would potentially change the sound, and then that would be compressed, etc. And then finally, you would be hearing it through your monitors, which would change the sound again. So it's really impossible. What I can kind of do for you is just show you a before and after so you can hear a difference, a magnitude of difference, but I can't actually demonstrate to you the actual sound that I'm getting. That would be a bit like trying to demonstrate a color TV through a black and white TV. Oh God, there's a whole bunch of people who don't know what a black and white TV is. Oh, boomer. So when you first enable the plugin, you'll probably notice a reasonably drastic difference in overall volume. And that's because they have this feature enabled by default. This is the safe headroom feature. Essentially what this does is it prevents you from pushing this master fader all the way up to the top. It creates some headroom to help you protect your monitors, your headphones, indeed your hearing as well. But if you do want to hear everything at full pelt, then you can go down here and disable that. Okay. The other thing which is enabled by default is the listening spot feature. Essentially what this does is it counts for differences between the left and the right monitors. On some monitors, it's not always easy to adjust the volume on them that accurately so you can match them, so it definitely helps you out there. It could also be that your listening position is not optimum in terms of equal distance between the monitors, and it could be because of a sample difference between the two monitors. So if I disable it, you'll see on my right monitor here there's a bit of a delay and there's a 6 sample difference. So I like to have that enabled, and that's going to help me to get an accurate stereo image when I'm doing my mixing. Okay, so what we're looking at in this graph here is the frequency curve of my monitors before anything's being applied. This is with my Adam T8Vs with the sub engaged. Okay, and you can definitely see that sub is engaged there by the big mountain of frequencies in the low end there. Now I could of course make adjustments to that sub by turning it down a bit, and indeed that's probably what I'll do, but I haven't done that yet, so I'm looking for the system to make some adjustments down there, which I'm sure it definitely will. Now you can also see here on this particular graph the differences as well between the left and the right channels. Very sort of overt from these sort of low mids and the mids and the highs, and less so as we get down to the lows. So let's have a listen, just for fun, at how this mix sounds before and after. Okay, I've got the plugins switched off at the moment. We'll have a listen.
Yes, I've been down the rabbit hole, and though the poison made me small, fell as far as I could go.
Switched on.
Yes, I've been down the rabbit hole, and though the poison made me small, fell as far as I could go.
Now, do remember, you're not hearing it accurately at all. You're listening through your monitors or your headphones. But you can hear a big difference, at least, I hope. You should do. Now, if we go up to the top here, we can see different things that we can filter in and out on this graph. So this is the before curve, okay? And this is the calibration which is being applied here. This is in green. So this is the EQ curve which is being applied, okay? And you can see it's applying a very drastic EQ curve in the low ends there, okay? Really up to minus 12 dB around about here, okay? So that's fairly drastic. Hasn't had to do too much up here, but it's all very, very important. Now, it can also give you a simulation of what it's now achieved by applying that EQ curve. So I'll go in, I'll switch that off, and I'll simulate the after. And you'll see it's very, very flat indeed. If it's achieving this, then wow, that's fantastic, isn't it? And I believe it is from what I'm hearing in the difference. So it hasn't been able to achieve perfection in the low end, but it's pretty good. And as I say, I may even get better results if I run the process again after I've adjusted the volume of that subwoofer, okay? So that's what it's doing, and that's what it has achieved. The other things in here I won't bother to show you at the moment, but there's a number of different things that you can show on that graph there, okay? I'll just go back to that calibration curve there. So what other things can we do with this software? Because, I mean, look, you could do just that with it, and it's absolutely fine. But let's go through some nice features which really just add that bit of icing to the software, okay? The first one is custom target, okay? This is where you can go in and you can manually adjust the curve yourself, okay? You can add as many nodes and things as you want. Now, you may think, what's the point of having the system detect how to make the curve flat and then me go in and mess it all up? And that is a very good point. The main use that I can think of for it is this. Sometimes people will know that they have issues with their hearing, okay? An engineer will know after a long time that perhaps he hears the highs too much, or in most cases, after several years, not going to hear enough of the highs. So if I know that I've got hearing, let's call it an impairment, if you like, then I can adjust, that. And, that may take some guesswork, I guess, on your part. It may take some time to get that curve just right. But after a while, after you've done a number of mixes and everyone's telling you, look, it's just a bit high in the high end, then you'll make some adjustments there and improve that situation for yourself. So that's very, very useful, actually, for that situation, and it could apply to various places in the range of frequencies there. Okay, so that's a custom target you can set, and you can set several. So if you've got a system which has a number of different engineers and they want to create their own custom targets, then that's very, very handy indeed. Okay, now the other thing you can do, which is super, super cool, is this. We can go for a translation check. So what this does is it enables you to listen to your mix in various different scenarios. We've got 3 car scenarios here, for example. The first one is a harsh sounding entry-level sound system. You can use this with a well-known reference track to listen to this as if it's in a car, I guess is what they want to say there. Let's have a listen to our sound in the car. Car number 2, this is an executive sedan with mid-level sound system. And then a luxury SUV with 2 subwoofers, apparently. So, look, this is great for hearing things in different situations. As I say, this may sound weird to you because you're listening to it through your headphones, so it may not sound right. In-ear headphones for AirPods, guess what this is modelled on? Lots of different things there, in-ear average ones. through a laptop, for example. Let's go for a 12-inch laptop. Yeah, that's how things sound on my laptop. Through a smartphone, this would be an important one to listen to. If you're listening to this video through a smartphone now, then you're getting smartphone sound on smartphone sound. That's not very smart. Okay. Now, moving on, studio speakers, mix cubes. They're very popular. Have a listen there. And NS11s. There's not a model called NS11 as far as I know, but there is something very, very close to that, which is extremely famous. So you get the idea there. Now, you've got to be careful with these. Obviously, if you're listening to the smartphone profile, and you're thinking, oh, not much low frequency there, I'll boost that in my mix, then you're making a big mistake, okay? It doesn't matter how much you boost it, the speakers on those phones are not capable of letting people hear those frequencies, and you're going to mess up the mix on all of the other devices. So this is just a guide for you so you can quickly hear how your mix sounds on these various different devices, okay? But be very careful about changes you make after hearing this, okay? That's my word of caution there. But a great feature, wonderful, saves me having to jump in my car and drive around with my mix plugged in and just change something by a couple of decibels in the EQ curve, come back, try again, go for a drive again. I don't actually do that, to be honest with you. Not worth it. But yeah, I know lots of people do that, so saves you doing that. Love this feature. It's never a bad idea to listen to professionally mixed and mastered music through your studio monitors, okay? This gets you used to the way that music sounds through your monitors. So whether you're listening on Spotify or iTunes, etc., this can be a really good idea. So it's really nice that with this package, as well as the plug-in for your DAW, you also have a Sound ID reference working at operating system level, okay? So whether you're on Windows or on Mac, you can have all of the sound from your computer being adjusted by the profiles you've created. So that's what we're looking at on the screen here now. It looks a little bit different, but the features are pretty much the same as the plugin, okay? All of the things I showed you earlier. Now, the other thing that you can do with this system, which is very, very handy, is adjust for listening with your headphones. Now, of course, in this case, you don't need to create profiles with your microphone, etc. Sonarworks give you an enormous amount of profiles for popular and not so popular headphones. I mean, these Olo headphones that I've got on my head at the moment are rather boutique, but they were definitely there with a few other models by Olo as well. Indeed, all of the 8 different models of headphone which I have in my studio were available there, and I saw many, many more popular ones, and as I say, not so popular ones there as well. Now, this is very, very handy because don't think so-called studio headphones are dead flat. They're not. They all still have their own characteristics. I don't believe there's any completely flat headphones in existence. So it's very, very handy that you can use this calibration and have it sounding much more flat than it would otherwise. Let's say, for example, a very, very common type of headphone is the K240. I've got the S version. They're renowned for being lacking in the low end, okay? So I could switch over here to their profile. Let's just find them. The AKG K240 Studios, right? Okay, and you'll see there that they have indeed got a boost there when they're being calibrated in that low end, and a big boost there right at the high end as well. So this is a really great feature. You don't have to buy the whole system to get this. You can just buy the headphone component if you only ever mix and master on headphones at the moment. So before I give you my final and honest opinion, if you want to know the latest prices for the various different versions of this system, follow the links in the description down below. Now for my final and honest opinion. If you're in a completely untreated room, then I strongly suggest that you spend your money on room treatment first and then get this to enhance that experience. This may look like a missile of some kind, but it's not a magic bullet to fix the problems of an untreated room, okay? So do that first. Now, having said that, I am in a treated room. I have bass traps in the corners. I have some broadband panels around the edges, and I've got a cloud up above my head. But even with all of that, you always know that there are some weaknesses in your room. So I was not that surprised to see the results of the analysis when I first did it. It's definitely addressing the weaknesses that I knew were there with my room, but it's also revealed some more subtle weaknesses that I probably wouldn't detect. But even if I could, it would be hard to do it accurately and then correct it myself. So it does exactly what it says it will do. It corrects those issues for you, and that's a massive help. It's going to help you make better decisions in your mixers. Now, in terms of implementation, wow. You know, Sonarworks are probably the most well-known brand for this kind of system, and that can make companies kind of lazy, but they definitely haven't been. The designers here have probably overshot my expectations by a long way. It's probably better than it needs to be honest with you. So, you know, a round of applause if I had some free hands for the Sonarworks designers. They're just very, very good. I'm mightily impressed by that. Now, if you'd like to give me your opinion, perhaps you're thinking about getting this, but you're unsure, maybe I can answer some questions. Or if you've already tried a system like this, or you've got a previous version of this, I'd love to hear your comments down below. Don't forget to check the link in my description for my Patreon, where for as little as $1 per month, you can help me help you by making more videos like this. And I'll see you in the next video.